Hello, Sagittarius, and welcome to your July 2021 reading. Be sure to check out your sun, moon, and rising for a more well-rounded reading, and check the link box below for a personal, individualized reading if you're interested in getting one. All right, let's go ahead and begin. Starting out, we have the message of birds. And the key word that I'm getting with this is communication, but more specifically, gossip. So I feel like there's a little bit of gossiping happening, a little bit of talking about things that's not the conversationalist's business. And for some of you, it's about you. And for some of you, it is gossip that you're participating in. But either way, however this applies to you, something to be wary of. If you're participating in, you're just being warned to not get too involved, because as you are participating in it, you are actually going to become the recipient of gossip eventually if you're not careful, and fairly quickly too. So this isn't something, at some point in time karma's gonna get you, more or less. If you participate in gossip right now, that gossip is going to turn on you within the month of July. So if you are in groups or communities, or just in a setting where people begin to gossip, do your best to somehow remove yourself, whether it's just to stay silent or actually literally remove yourself. This is definitely something that you want to do, and it's going to help with communication around you. And by around you, I mean regarding you and your circumstances. And if this is something you want to avoid, you just want to avoid participating in any means of miscommunication as possible. And that means, not participating in gossip. That being said, I feel like there is still going to be gossip being said. The key point, and one of the reasons why you just don't want to participate in it, is that you don't want it to backfire. There's definitely an energy of miscommunication seemingly kind of being around you. So doing your best to safeguard. It's kind of one of those things where it's going to happen, so you're going to do what you need to do to make sure that as little damage as possible occurs. It kind of puts me in the mindset. The analogy that comes to mind is something like when you're preparing for a storm, you board up the windows, or you put down the wall of sandbags if there's going to be tidal waves. That sort of preparation. It's not that you're going to keep it from happening at all, as much as you're just trying to make sure that the impact and the damage is as little as possible. And that's what you're going to be facing. That's the energy and the work through the month of July that's there for you. So this is sort of your heads up. Don't participate in gossip, even if it's not about you, or especially if it's not about you, because it has the potential of turning on you. If you never find yourself in the moment of being around people who are gossiping about somebody, it's still the concept or the energy of gossip being said about you is still heavy in the month of July. This feels very much as those things are coming to the head around the third week for you. Around the third week of July, I really get a sense that there is just things culminating, and you just have to do what it takes to prepare for the potential damage. So through the early part of July, you want to make sure that the work that you're doing is kind of preparing and trying to make sure that there's as little damage done as possible. We have the play card, and I feel that this is your spirit guides, spirit in general is really trying to encourage you to still participate in the lighter, funner things of life, no matter what's going around you. Don't let this to take you down too hard. Do the work that you need to prepare to make sure that the impact does as little damage as possible. Then just while you're at it, once you've done the preparatory work, still enjoy life, still spend time with your family, still spend time with the people in your community that you're close to, still, connect with people in ways that make life more lighthearted, that really brings joy to your existence, that really touches and heals the heart chakra. This is heart chakra. Really, as soon as I said that, it was like, I got this, like, yeah, that's the thing you need to be focusing on. Heart chakra. So you're doing the preparation, so as little damage is done as possible to your heart chakra and those that you feel connected with your heart chakra. So, you know, definitely those family and community members, but also doing things that make it so that your heart chakra doesn't get blocked or stagnant or, you know, in any way impacted incorrectly, or not incorrectly, but you know what I mean, as far as a pushback, you know, something that's kind of making it revert to ways that isn't nurturing you. So do what you need to do as far as living is concerned, that continues to feed and nurture the heart chakra, so that can keep other aspects of your chakras, your life, in better balance. So remember to do the preparatory work that you need to, and then just get back to enjoying life to the best of your ability. We have the Five of Wands as far as where you are now, and some of the, you know, more core energy for the month of July, and just a little bit of, you know, that concept of miscommunication that I was talking about is really coming through, in that there's just that general chaos that you really are not in control of and you can't control, but you feel the impact from it. And no matter how much you may try to distance yourself from it or not be a part of it, there's still a connection that's happening that you just have to ward off in some means possible. I'm really being shown to look at this image, and how in this particular image, she has a means to defend herself, but instead of actually using it, she's got it across her lap, and she's just trying to be more passive in her self-defense. And, you know, you just get an overall sense that you want this to pass, but you want it to pass with as little damage as possible. And you want it to pass without giving anybody around you any fuel for the fire, any more fuel for the fire. So this is the energy, this is the position that I feel that you are in. There's a lot of chaos, and you have the means to retaliate, but retaliation is not necessarily the best option. The retaliation can actually create a domino effect that might have a blowback that causes the damage that is beyond the scope of what you can prepare for. So you just really want to do what you need to do to distance yourself from the chaos as best as you can, so that you don't find yourself in this position, so you don't have to make the choice of retaliating, or how do you not retaliate but still be able to defend yourself. Pull yourself out of the chaos and distance yourself from the chaos as much as you possibly can. Again, like I said, it's one of those things where it's going to happen, and it's really just preparing for as little damage as possible. So, and again, to make it so that you don't lose your sense of self, and you don't end up with feeling that you have a broken heart, and that you don't have, you know, a detrimental impact to your heart chakra. You need to make sure that you put yourself in situations that are away from the chaos, but are feeding happiness, and in feeding that bliss, and in feeding that joy, and in turn feeding that heart chakra, making it continue to rotate in a means of balance. So what do you need to do? What do you need to focus on? We have the Hermit. It's just revalidating some of the things that I've said. Distancing yourself is a big thing. I don't think that this is staying a hermit as far as completely going out and being by yourself in a cabin in the woods away from all of society, as much as just trying to do what you need to do to distance yourself. It's just reiterating that statement, to distance yourself, especially from the chaos, especially from the chaos makers. And doing what you need to do that feeds your soul. Excuse me. Doing what you need to do that feeds your soul, that feeds that heart chakra, that nurtures you, so that once this is all said and done, you are still feeling fairly whole while you're cleaning up after the storm has passed. What don't you want to do? We have Judgment, and this is really coming strongly. They're telling me this is really talking about judging other people in the process. And it's not so much, you know, we have those moments where we do the comparisons and the contrasts of our lives and other people's lives. It's not so much that, although you do have to be careful with that. But this is really talking about, don't spend your time trying to feel better by yourself by being critical of others. Like if your means of raising yourself up is by trying to prove how those around you are inferior in some facet, it's not really stable ground for you to be standing on. You want to be supporting yourself through ways that nurtures yourself, not in some way comes out as, well, when I contrast this myself with this, I come out on top. That's the sort of judgment or criticism that you're being advised to not partake in, to not participate in. So, you know, there's not anything wrong with being critical as far as being an analytical thinker as the situation is concerned, especially when you're taking it from the perspective of protecting yourself and making sure that you are, you know, distancing yourself the best you can so that you're not having to be in a position of deciding whether or not to retaliate. There's nothing wrong with being judgmental in that perspective. That's from an analytical, rational, logical perspective, and that's fine. But it really is talking about that judgment that we sometimes as humans partake in, where we boost ourselves up by looking at how those around us are less than in some ways or some facet. And then sometimes we get lost in that judgment too, and we kind of don't understand how people we perceive might be having things a little bit better, and we get a bit judgment and therefore spend time criticizing and judging ourselves in a downward spiral. So you just really want to make sure that you're avoiding that sort of discernment, that sort of judgment. You want to make sure that the judgment you're participating in is in a means of discernment to make sure that you come out on top, but not gloating yourself on top, if that makes sense. All right, that is all I have for you for the month of July, Sagittarius. Do take your time to watch the sun, moon, and rising to make sure that you get a more well-rounded, generalized reading for the month of July. If you're looking for a personal, individual reading, I do offer those. There'll be links in the description box below. Other than that, I hope you have a wonderful July. You managed to work through this and come out successful and empowered on the other side. And hopefully I will see you in a future video.